Hello. Tonight, I'm going to talk about my mother. Next week on September 11th, we all remember that date. She passed away a year ago. I don't really speak too much about her, only with few people. Because what happened after her passing was that I established a direct connection to her. I talk to her every day, all the time. The first weeks after her passing, I would cry. When I would go to bed and I would wake up crying. I still cry sometimes when I think of her, but not because I'm sad, and obviously I do miss her, but because every time I think of her, she has shown me the way to eternal love, and she has lately shown me the way to God, but not the God that we think that is this big man, like taking charge of everything and who is at fault for all the things that are not working, and the guy that everybody's praying to, like hoping that he's gonna hear to each one of them. No, that's not God. But I realize that God is just a divine spirit. It's a spark. It's the light that makes me be alive. And for as long as I was looking for him and seeking his grace, or her grace, because, with this gender thing these days, you don't want to be incorrect. That was a joke. His God has always been a his, whether you like it or not. But anyway, I'm not going to get out of my lane. Just wanted to be funny. So this relationship to this divine spark has been something that I actually never felt before. I could feel this spark when I'm creating, when I'm actually in my own flow, when I'm drawing or I'm designing something specifically, even when I'm writing or meditating. I just feel that I'm so aligned and connected to the wavelength of Mother Earth. But when I was trying to seek his grace, it was always this inability to feel really connected. Although in my mind I felt that I had a connection, but in my heart I didn't. And this year I just feel it in my heart, because it makes me almost cry. It's just such a beautiful feeling. And when I say that my mother gave me the connection to God, it's because I actually speak to her and she speaks back to me. Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but she does. She does. I ask her questions. I'm very direct, I'm a very curious person, so I always go straight to the point and I say, hey, Mom, what would I need to do in order to do this? I mean, how would you suggest that I do this? And she always answers, or I believe so, but I know that it's coming directly from her guidance. Because when she speaks back to me, it's with such amount of wisdom and an attachment and complete acceptance of what I'm asking, and there's no distortion in the answer. It's just so beautiful. So what are the typical things that I ask my mom? Okay, so I'm gonna go back to around the time she died. I was feeling her every day, all the time. I used to carry her photo with me, an old photo of her before she got married. She must have been 18, 19 years old, and she's very, dressed up, probably going about town, and somebody took a picture of her. So years ago, when she was just getting old and she was getting Alzheimer's, she just one day she said, why don't you take something with you so you remember me? And I will say, Mom, I don't need to remember you with a picture, but I'm so happy that she insisted, because I'm not too attached to things. So I just brought that that picture that is still in the same frame, very baroque frame. And it's there in front of me next to my computer, and she's just looking at me the whole time. I have another picture of her by the side, but that's more like a funny picture of her. In 1989, we did take a trip to what was East Germany, had been invited by the communist government because she was a pedagogue. And she invited me to come along with 2 or 3 other friends that they were pedagogues as well. We had a blast. I was living in Greece, and I remember that trip being one of the most fun times in my life with my mom, because one thing that I remember my mom is she was extremely mischievous. She was very avant-garde. She was taking always 3-4 steps ahead of everybody. She was always coming up with these genius ideas, and then she will, like when she will get caught about something, she would just laugh and crack up just like complete a big laughter. And I would go like, Mom, and she goes like, what? She was just shameless. But on the other side, she had this other part that she was a very Virgo energy about like keeping things in order and being humble to a certain degree, and wanted to be of service. Her moon is in Virgo, and actually her moon and her Neptune are connected to my Pluto Uranus conjunction. So I always felt this very strong connection to her, something that it was inevitable, like almost fated. Obviously she was my mother, it was definitely fated. Anyway, I was talking about after she died, I was just connecting with her, and around 2 months after her death, one day it's not that I stopped feeling her, but I was not feeling her presence that much, and I got a little bit anxious about it. So I did ask her, are you around? Like, where are you, Mama? I cannot feel you as much. And she said, do you really want to get in touch with me? And I said, yes. And she said, call your siblings. I was like a mic drop there. It was so beautiful she said that, because she was right. If I want to be in touch with her, I can call any of my siblings. They're also a part of her. I told that to my brother, and we would just wept together that day. That was around 2 months after my mom's death. I don't really speak to my other 2 siblings. That's not a story I'm not going to tell right now. I do speak to my brother, and sometimes I send him funny images of my mom. My mom was not very tall, like, so in Spanish we'll call her like little midget. She was really short, but she was fun looking. Like she was very whimsical. So I have all these pictures of her like making faces, and they usually pop on my iPhone, like, remembering 5 years ago, something like that. And so sometimes when she appears, she shows this funny face, always making grimaces. Like, that's what she was always doing. I just always send my brother a text going like, hey, little midget is saying hello. He's always laughing. So we always make fun with my mom. I mean, I grew up making fun of her. I grew up listening to my father making fun of her. I grew up my mom making fun of us. And so humor has always been like a connective tissue in my house. We perhaps don't want to say deeper things. Perhaps the way we coped with my father's death when I was so young was with humor. We were just always laughing and laughing. So months later, after she told me to call my siblings again another day, I said, where are you? And she says, I'm with your dad. And I said, oh, good. Are you guys having fun? She goes, yes, I'm also with your granny. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. So you're with all the ancestors? She goes, yes, sort of. And I said, but you guys are having so much fun, you're not remembering me. And then she said to me something like, remember that you are part of us. So I'm with your ancestors, but you are also part of that ancestry. So if you want to be with me, you gotta reconnect to yourself. And I was like, another mic drop. It's like, Mom, you're becoming too wise, too soon, too fast for me. I just want my mommy. I just want the human. But obviously I cannot have her back because the human left, and what I'm left with is with her spirit. So fast forward a little bit, this year has been quite amazing for me. I was for years trying to do all this kind of manifestation, meditations, feeling it and dreaming it and saying it. And I just don't know how to do that practically for a long time, because everything that I always wanted to do as a manifester in human design, it's just like I opened my mouth and I said, I want to do this, and it kind of appears. But I didn't, like, if I had to teach the trick, I wouldn't know where to start. I would say I would just think about it and do it, or, So, but then there were times that I was manifesting the wrong thing. So I started to pay attention to, usually when I was worried about something, or afraid, rather, when I was very much afraid of things, I was manifesting exactly what I was afraid of. And so I started realizing that I gotta pay attention a lot to my thoughts. So that happened a while ago, I'll say 10 years ago or something like that. Now I know that I really take care of the ecology of my thoughts. And even if I have like a crazy thought, I always engage holding space and just making sure that whatever is crossing my mind is something that is wholesome. And if it's an alert, then I do pay attention to it, and I just ask the thought if it's something that is happening or it's something that I'm projecting from the outside. So I'm very much aware of my ecology of thoughts and feelings. But anyway, so this year I started doing these meditations around the beginning of the year, same time that I started being 100% carnivore. So I did change a little bit my habits, became much more extreme. I have Gate 15, my identity center hanging, and it's on the line 6, so I am quite extreme about stuff. But I feel comfortable with the extremes because it is a way for me to connect to the magnetism of Mother Earth, and that's why I also do a lot of sound and humming and breath work. It's just I'm almost like aligning myself with the breath of Mother Earth. And so I've been doing these meditations called the Getaway Experience. They're known now on the internet because there were apparently some files and some methodologies that they were used for the CIA back in the day to do something that is called remote viewing or out of body experience or lucid dreaming, whatever you want to call it. So they're really well done, and they're done in a very scientific way. So there's no woo guru kind of stuff in them. That, not that I'm annoyed by that, but sometimes you just need to go to the core of the things, the most like logical part, without having all the ornaments there that sometimes can be very distracting, especially with spiritual practices. People get so entangled with what is not important. So I started doing these meditations, and they basically are a combination of self-hypnosis. They also have this very specific binaural sounds that help you balance your right and left side of the brain. So they're very low frequency, but they're actually, it's not music, it's just a sound that it's emitted. And so they suggest you use them with headphones, which actually is a great experience. And there was a little bit of humming that I do already, and then that really helps the nervous system be a little bit more relaxed. And they use a little bit of like TM meditation, concentrated on very specific things that you want to work on. So I've been doing it, and I do them twice a day, and they really have supported a lot my process. I've been a meditator for over 30 years, and I've done a lot of techniques, but sometimes I will get a little bit like too comfortable with the kind of meditation, and it was not getting deep. With this one, it's always a challenge because I still haven't done the whole series. I had a friend who gave me all the, 20 gigabytes of sound. I don't know, it's like it's endless. I could be the rest of my life just meditating with these files, which, why not? Anyway, going back to, I always lose track. Sorry guys, if you're looking for linearity, you're in the wrong audio. So going back to the road, so I was talking about my mom. Yes, focus on it. I was talking about my mom. I was talking about manifestation. So this is what it is. So I've been doing the meditations, blah blah blah, and a lot of things started happening in a way that it's almost like I have the peace of mind, and I have the also, I would say, the maturation and a little bit of the wisdom that I have acquired with time by being an observer of nature and my own nature. So because I'm such an inquiring person, I've been really establishing a way of how to become insightful when needed. So my life is just a whole big insight that sometimes is manifested in colors or books or these rants that I do, or just a giggle. That's what it is. So, but I noticed with this meditations that I could actually program my mind with self-hypnosis. It was fantastic. So throughout that, like every time that I go into meditation, I make a prayer. Like I dedicate it, and I guess to who I dedicate this all the time, to my mama, because I want to connect with her. So I always connect with her, and I connect with my father, my grandmother, and my other grandmother. And sometimes I do calls with the archangels, which are like a very important energy up in another realm, let's say another dimension. And they're the guardians of like the four cardinal points of the earth, but that's another story right now. So I connect to them, and so it's been amazing, because throughout these connections with my mom through the meditations, she's been giving me even more messages that are very, very explicit about explicit dates, things. It's almost like having a secretary up in heaven or an assistant that is kind of reminding me, like a calendar, like, oh, and this is going to happen. So not long ago, I can't remember if it was last month or probably 2 months ago, but it was some weeks ago. I'm there deep in meditation, and it just comes to me as a feeling, very, very strong feeling. And even her voice and her image is very present. And she says, every time that you want to connect to me, you must know that you're connected to your own self and you're connected to God. And I say, what? She says, yes, my memory, my spirit is the same as the spirit of God. So anytime that you connect with me, you're connected to God. Oh, and I cried so much because I thought it was very beautiful. And I actually felt it. And that's where the trick is. It's like you feel it and you know that there's no way back. I know how it feels. So what is happening is, like, I started to be very precise about what I wanted, and started to make strategies that I never done before, because I kind of like, I'm very intuitive. So I'm like, oh, who cares? I'm just going to figure it out last minute. And then I thought, wait, why don't we do it differently? Instead of figuring things out the last minute, why don't we kind of like make a list and look at the things that might be needed? And yeah, I can still improvise, but wouldn't it be more, I don't know, effective if I have a plan and then I kind of improvise it, but we already have a plan? So I've been doing that, and it's been amazing, because the things that I've been listing of what I want, that they're all happening, and they're happening at the same time, and I'm not even surprised. So manifestation is coming through. The love, eternal love that my mother reminded me that I am. Last thing that I'm going to say today happened. It was so beautiful this morning. So just before the meditation, I did my prayer that I want to connect with her. And when I'm just about to get into the humming part, I felt like a movement of, as if somebody was like wanted to say something. So it was like moving, part of my t-shirt. Like, like when kids, they want the attention of their moms, and they're just kind of pulling the shirt or the blouse or whatever, the dress. And I turned around and I saw myself being, I would say 2 or 3 years old, little Monica. And she said, can I be in the meditation too? And I said, of course you can. Oh, baby, you don't want to be excluded. She goes, no, we have to be all together in this one. I want to be part of all these dreams. I want to be part of all the manifestation. I want to be part of everything, because I'm already part of you, like mom is and like God is. So I'm saying this with a lot of humility. I'm not pretending anything. I might sound whatever. I don't care how I sound, but it is true coming from my heart. And I'm gonna close saying that I'm in a very good place. I'm gonna celebrate next week that she passed, not with tears but with joy. It's also like a strange date for me because September 10 was the video that I made from the Tower 1 of the World Trade Center back in 2001 when I had a studio at the towers. And it was not my time to be dead. Actually, I know people who passed that day. And the video that I did was from the towers the night before. There had been semi-hurricane / very big thunderstorm, and I managed to record that footage and take it with me that night. I was safe because I was still a smoker, so I was reminded that I didn't have any cigarettes. My ex-husband didn't want to come and bring me cigarettes, so I ended up going and meeting him, and it saved my life. Irony of everything is that my father killed himself in an accident because he went to buy cigarettes, and I was saved from being in the tower in the morning because I was gonna sleep over there. Well, not really sleep over, but I was gonna work until late, so I was saved by that. So when I made the video, because I did have the footage, I made it into a piece. A friend of mine sent me an email those days when she heard the story, and she said, "Monique, I'm so happy you're alive. Uno nunca muere la víspera," which translates, you don't die on the eve of your death. You die the day you're supposed to die. So I titled my video like that, and it's called September 10th. So last year when my mom was, I'm not going to tell you a lot about how she died or anything. I just saw her dying. I saw her taking her last breath almost. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences because I knew my mom had spent the last 47 days of her life after a stroke without eating or eating. And I swear to God that she waited for every child that came out of her body to make peace with her. And it was such a beautiful, devoted act and offering that she did. So by the time that she was ready, I actually spoke to her the day before. I would call her every day. She couldn't speak back. She could move her eyes and motion a little bit. But I knew she could listen to me. So I said, "Mommy, please." She had a great sense of humor. I said that before. So I said, "Mom, please don't die on the 10th of September. You're going to ruin my video. You're not supposed to die on the eve of your death. Can you do it late after tomorrow?" And I knew she was going to die that weekend. I know it sounds cruel, but it is not. I'm very much aware of the pain that it caused to some members of my family, but I'm at peace. I was at peace with that even before she died because I knew she was going to be with me forever. So she did pass on the 11th in the morning, and I'm going to be remembering her. And thank you guys for listening to me. And I don't have anything else to say today because it was all about my mom. Everything is about my mom and about my relationship to God. Good night. Bye-bye.